back to Nottingham Football, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a special guest here. It's not Patrick Van Straten, it's Lexi.
Go on, Lexi.
My girlfriend's family dog. We had to bring her here today. And she's going to be very well behaved. I might have her on my lap. She might pop down to the chair next to me. But say hello to Lexi in the comments. She's ready to hear absolute ball knowledge.
I think she's got some great opinions as well.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
A bit of a chat before.
Well, she's going to have to make the ultimate decision at the end of this. But yeah, we're going to sit her here to see what happens. She's very calm. Patrick, how are you, mate? You're very calm.
I'm good. I am very calm. I'm very chill.
Are you calm about the title race, though?
Weirdly, like kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Like I don't know, man. Like if you'd offered this position at the beginning of the season, I'd have taken it.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
But look at it this way. Like last time I was on here, the second funniest thing was in play, which was like Arsenal winning the league and Spurs getting relegated.
Yeah.
Now the funniest thing is in play, which is Spurs finishing 17th and Arsenal not winning the league. Like that is objectively a little bit more amusing.
Oh, that would be
for everyone.
I think if that did happen, I would probably. You'd see the biggest level of shamelessness I think you would ever seen from a person on the podcast. If that actually did happen, but it's probably got more likely that Spurs are going to get relegated.
I think a lot of people accepted it this weekend as well.
I think Sunday, and I think the Leeds game was just a killer. And I think
now Romero's
out for the season. Yeah, thanks
Tremendous
Brian
stuff.
Bobby for that.
Does anyone believe there's any scenario where Arsenal win the league but Spurs stay up? It feels like it has to go one way or the other.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Right. I think you're right. I think that either that's just the narrative, like getting
not both. Not both can happen.
We can't have two fan bases happy at the same time. Like it's just not possible.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, I mean, imagine if that actually did happen. I mean,
imagine how sad Chelsea fans would be. It'd be great.
Yeah,
you and Chelsea, Rory.
And that's it. That's everyone.
Yeah, there are no other Chelsea fans in London. Yeah.
Okay, well, as you can see by the title of this video, we're going to be talking about the best players in the world. There may be a Chelsea player or two in this. We'll see. We'll get to that later. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through each position: goalkeeper, right back, the two centre backs, left back, so on and so forth, and pick one. Obviously, we did this last year as well, but things change over the years. So, without further ado, let's kick things off in goal. Because there's a couple of interesting selections here. I think a couple of people at home will be shouting Gianluigi Donnarumma. We obviously covered him on the last video. Patrick was not a fan of him. Slightly thought he was overrated, and then had the stinker in the Champions League, which really did back the point. I think a couple of other names that are worth bringing up. Thibaut Courtois for Real Madrid, especially in the Champions League, has been insane at times.
Yeah.
Manuel Neuer is still doing a very good job at Bayern Munich, I think. David Raya at Arsenal at times, I think, has really saved Arsenal points in some games this season. Patrick, where did you jump in goal?
So the way I look at it is that I think that there are a few things that are like the most valuable things you can do in football, right? Like if you play a key part as your team wins a title or a Champions League, obviously, but also if you play a key part in a team staying up in the Premier League. Like as in monetary value, that's literally the most valuable thing you can do in football, right? And so I wanted to talk about Robin Roofs, who I think has had, he came in for a bargain fee, like under 10 million euros, and first season in the Premier League. And Sunderland really did need people to kind of step up. Like it's a really difficult situation. They built quite a young squad. They brought in a couple of more experienced stagers, but basically like this team needed to kind of hold their nerve in the early stage of the season, where if you get slapped around a bit, it really starts to snowball. And Sunderland actually have been absolutely diabolical since about November. Right, Sunderland have played like a relegation level team since November, which is what you'd expect.
A lot of players went off to the AFCON as well, didn't they, during that period?
Sure.
But they
got injured as well, didn't they, for a while?
But they were so good
they were.
in the run before that, and specifically Roofs was so good. And there is no bigger overperformer in goal in the Premier League this season than Robin Roofs. I think they're like 14 goals ahead of expectation, which is astonishing. Also, the pressure he takes off the back line with, coming out and claiming. I think he's a really good... I've seen him linked to Chelsea recently, and you just think, no, I don't really know. Maybe he's got that in him. But to me, what he is a really good conventional goalkeeper who is a good shot stopper, who can command his area. And Sunderland are going to stay up. They've stayed up pretty comfortably in the end. And if they can sell him in the summer, they'll sell him for an absolute ton of money. And if they don't sell him because he doesn't kind of fit the profile for top teams, then they'll have an excellent goalkeeper for years to come. So I think that this season, that performance this season could dramatically change what the next decade of football looks like for Sunderland to stay in the Premier League. And so I just really think he kind of deserves the shine. And actually, when I look around the top teams, I find it hard to pick somebody who's had a really consistently good campaign. I mean, the margins are slimmer at the top.
You've seen the drop off as well. I think when he's been injured and they've had to put the second choice goalkeeper in goal, who at times looks very nervous. I think set pieces he's really struggled with as well, which again just goes to show Robin Roof's ability at catching crosses. And he has just been such a smart pickup, and nobody had even heard of him at the start of the summer. I think there was lots of chat around their business and thinking, and Robin Roof's being the kind of guy who no one kind of knew what level he would achieve, especially because last season the keeper did a very, very good job for Sunderland in the Championship. And there was a lot of chat about, whether was it the right decision to kind of replace him for the Premier League, and it's proven so massively. Would you say, though, he's the best in the world in his position this season? That's where I think
that's incredibly hard to gauge, though, because, like, you look at somebody like Raya has the most clean sheets, right? Yeah. But Raya also plays behind the best defence. Raya is excellent with his feet. Raya also makes more high-profile errors. So when you're a high-profile keeper, there's more scope for you looking like a tit. Yeah. Certainly, I couldn't give it to Donnarumma. Obviously guys like Courtois have been injured.
Yeah. Garcia, Barcelona.
Garcia's missed quite a lot as well. And Garcia makes as many high-profile mistakes as Raya does. It's just that you don't see them if you're a Premier League fan. Obviously PSG have struggled as well. Like, there's nobody who I look around. Like, I guess Neuer is always a candidate. But there's nobody who I really look around and think this is an absolute slam dunk. It has to be you.
Every time, like, obviously, I think, and it might have changed, but the last I checked, Neuer's contract is up again this summer.
Yeah.
It often is.
I mean, there was a rumour I saw like Brighton were apparently.
Yeah, because I think also Bayern Munich are looking at Verbruggen. But he's turning 40, and every time I manage to watch a Bayern Munich game, whether it be in the Bundesliga or in the Pokal or the Champions League, I always watch it, and it's just a reminder of, God, this guy really is so good still. Like, he has the ability to pull off incredible saves.
The first leg of the quarterfinal against Real Madrid, he was a joke.
He's a joke.
Like, he was Bayern were the better team, and they deserved to win that game, and they left goals out there, Bayern. But Real Madrid had chances.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for Neuer, it could have been one of those Real Madrid classic performances where they play like absolute shit and they just somehow awe their way over the line, but they didn't. And Neuer was the reason. Even the goal that Mbappe scored, like, Neuer very nearly saved that.
Yeah.
Like, it's an undefendable ball in from Trent. It's a very close range finish from Mbappe that Neuer isn't expected to save, but he nearly somehow claws it out in off the bar and it just bounces in. But yeah, I'm kind of.
Who would you go with on it? I mean, there's a very strong. I mean, it's slightly different debate.
As pound for pound is like not a bad shout. I don't think you can say he's the best goalie in the world, but I think one thing that I always find weird in these conversations, and I don't know if I have an answer. Like, if you said to me, who's the best goalkeeper in the Premier League, I probably would say David Raya. And I think I would lean towards that way of thinking maybe for the world at this moment in time, just because I think he's become incredibly, like, weirdly over-hated. Or there was a lot of discussion after the Sporting Lisbon game on, like, Sky and a few other bits where they were saying, is he the best goalkeeper in the world? Who's the best goalkeeper in Europe? Blah, 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 all that. And then I saw people like, I think Jamie O'Hara was one of the people that said it. So again, pinch of salt, but like, he's not even in my top 5 goalkeepers in the world and all this kind of stuff. I think he's overrated. And I was just like, based on what? Like you said, Arsenal were asking him to take a lot of risks kind of playing out from the back. He's probably the most composed person in that Arsenal backline at the moment. Like, Gabriel looks a bit jittery. Saliba looks a little bit jittery as well. Ben White looks jittery on the ball and off the ball too. David Raya is probably the only one, and a bit like in the Sporting game, where you can actually guarantee that you're going to get an 8 out of 10 performance from him at the moment. I don't think he could have done anything particularly differently against Bournemouth on Saturday last week. I would probably still, like, naturally, I think we have to see almost what plays out in the Champions League, maybe. With this specific position. I think there's a lot of other positions when you go through this 11 that are, like, absolutely, like you said, a slam dunk. But a goalkeeper, Courtois, if you had a gun to my head and you would say, who do you think the best goalkeeper in the world still is, I probably would just say Courtois, just because of what he's done, and he's still performing at a very high level in the Champions League
he's fit,
as well, when he's fit. But I just think that David Raya has become a little bit weirdly... He exists in this really weird space that some people think he's massively overrated, and some people just... I don't know. I just find the discourse around him very strange for a very, very good goalkeeper.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you think back to how much Arsenal got him for as well.
It's unbelievable bit of business,
the fee for him, he was fantastic. He took Arsenal to that next level in goal as well, and they were still having issues with with Ramsdale in the net. And yeah, you're right. I think there are definitely moments... But I think with the way football's played nowadays, goalkeepers have a lot of responsibility and a higher potential to make a mistake, especially when you're playing in a team that wants possession of the ball. Like we think about obviously the Bournemouth game more recently, David Raya having the most touches in that game for Arsenal.
So that's kind of intentional, right?
No, exactly. But again, that again just goes in to show how much more of an important role they have nowadays. But also what that means is they are more susceptible, have a higher chance of making a risk if they're having the ball at their feet more often.
I mean, the Bournemouth game, he was also like quite bad at the Bournemouth game, I'd say. But you know, it's like, I think as well, a lot of people make their minds up about players and then they cannot change their mind. And especially I think this is true in goal. Because errors just really stick out to you. You know, a perfect example of this is Robert Sanchez, right? He's had a very good season, but because everybody decided he was crap last season, it's very difficult for people to acknowledge that he has been good this campaign. So this is the thing. I think when you're going through this list, just trying to give credit for, you know, really good performances this campaign rather than people kind of getting legacied in, which is often the case. Like you look at the team of the year at the end of the year and people are talking about players who you think, I don't really, you know, like I'm sure we'll come on to this when we get into the back line, but it's very tempting to just pick guys who you know are sort of like respectable choices. And now I think that it becomes a respectable opinion to say I think Raya is overrated or I think Sanchez is crap or whoever it is. By and large, none of these guys are crap. Like they're Premier League quality players. They play in the right team and they're asked to do the right things. They'll look better.
It's like with Raya. I've seen Raya make saves this season that I don't think other people maybe could do. I remember there was a save against Brighton in the
his reaction
saves.
The
Minter one.
His reaction saves was a joke.
I think also like Raya, maybe Raya was worse on Saturday than I kind of think. But like I also think that a lot of Raya's errors, maybe where I look at him sometimes, is that when he comes for crosses or like a lack of kind of communication maybe between him and like there was the Wolves one, for example, which I don't think is an error where like that happens consistently, but maybe when Arsenal are feeling the pressure at certain moments, is he sometimes too erratic, or like he's been lobbed quite a lot, Raya, isn't he? Like that's something that kind of goes against him. But it's not in the grand scheme of things. Like a lot of those goals that he's conceded in those kind of moments haven't cost. Like I mean, Richarlison lobbed him in the North London derby when we were already 4-0 down or 3-0 down or whatever it was. Like,
what does it matter?
They're not costing Arsenal. Raya isn't costing Arsenal points really.
There's an interesting thing I think when you think back to Premier League goalkeepers of previous greats, like you say your Petr Cech, your Schmeichel, your Van der Sar, whatever. If they were having to be asked to do what the current goalkeeper is nowadays, they would really struggle. They wouldn't be anywhere near off their line.
Agreed.
The ball at their feet would be even worse. And so I think because football wasn't like that.
I think that's true of centre-backs as well.
Yeah.
You know, like John Terry and people always come out and they're like, I was the best defender in the world and I'd still be the best defender now. It's like, brother, like you would be asked to do so much more. You're asked to be, like the guys. You'd have been a central midfield. Like the guys who are playing centre back now would have been central midfielders in the John Terry time. Like Ferdinand was like such a new thing, and I think with keepers as well. You know, like we're talking about Neuer here. Like Neuer kind of invented this type of goalkeeper. Like that's the funny thing about Neuer, that you're like 5 years ago, what was Manuel Neuer? A world-class goalkeeper. 5 years before that, world-class. 5 years before that, world-class. He's been world-class for 15 years, more than 15 years now. But I think people maybe don't realise that like the landscape of what goalkeeping looked like was radically different.
This is why I think this is why I think he's the best of all time.
Yeah, I agree.
It's him or Buffon. Like Buffon. I mean,
it was a little thing for me for Casillas when I was younger.
I always liked Casillas.
Casillas was amazing.
They're fine. I think it's very fine margins in terms of those three. But I think Neuer, in terms of like you said, the way he's reinvented that position,
it's a joke,
and it's like when people say about Pep, for example, as a manager, like how many people have become disciples of Pep. Neuer has literally created a position for a goalkeeper, pretty much. And it's even like you look at Juan Garcia at Barcelona, like that high line that they play is ridiculous. That leaves him prone to having to come rush off his line, make split-second decisions, and it's the same for the centre backs as well. Like it puts them under a hell of a lot of pressure, where it's sometimes difficult to maybe judge them as individuals when they're being asked to play in that very high risk system. Like this is why players like, I know he hasn't shown it this season, but like someone like a Van de Ven, for example, are like invaluable in the modern game if you get everything else right, because he has got that ability to bail you out. He massively lacks in other areas as a defender, but if he's got that and your system else is working, you're still winning games, you're creating chances, whatever. Having that ace up your sleeve is just like a bailout is so important. But goalkeeper's tough, man.
You know what?
I'd probably still give it to Courtois.
We'll give it to you guys at home. On this position, we'll give it to you guys at home. I think there's some very good debates there and a very good conversation about goalkeepers, I have to say. Okay, let's move on to the back line and start off at right back. I mentioned Chelsea players. This was the only one I mentioned.
I think it's fairly straightforward between a few options, but it's hard to pick the best.
I did want to put forward Reece James just because I feel this is actually the first season we've seen him play a decent amount of minutes.
It's a bit of category fraud.
Yeah. I understand. Hakimi again would probably come into this as he always kind of does.
100%.
But he's
also
also
had
dropped
injuries,
off a bit.
also had AFCON,
injured.
and actually PSG domestically have not
You
exactly been super dominant.
You're right.
It's the same way that people recently are talking about Kvicha. Maybe we'll come on to Kvicha later.
Yes,
but people are like, Kvicha, best left winger in the world.
First half of the season.
You're like, Kvicha Kvaratskhelia has 4 goals and 4 assists in Ligue 1 this season. I'm not saying that he's bad. I'm just saying that your perception is based on the games you see.
Well, he was in the whole reason he was on the bench in the first leg against Chelsea was because he was in a bad run of form. Came off of the bench and then obviously did pretty well. And from there, he's kind of got himself back into the side. But in terms of right back, where do we sit there? Because I think for the first half of the season, everybody was on the love-in for Jurrien Timber. Yeah. And he was doing a very good job at that as well. Reece James, I think, then started staying fit, managed to get there. I mean, it's funny saying that now considering he's out injured as well. Is Timber out injured? He was out injured. Timber's out injured. So a lot of these guys have ended up picking up an injury.
I think this is one of the thinnest areas in world football at the moment.
Yeah.
When you look around, like Real Madrid have obviously had like Trent and Carvajal, but even Valverde play there this season. Like Barcelona, I don't love Koundé.
Even Bayern have kind of like
Lima.
Kimmich has been playing in midfield.
He's been midfielder, yeah. There's an argument for Kimmich being in the midfield.
Yeah, it's like Lima and Stanisic being their fullbacks.
Yeah.
So I think Timber has to be a candidate because goal output is actually really high and consistently, as I said last time, I think the best defensive fullback maybe in the world right now. Hakimi has to be a candidate. I mean, the thing is about Reece James, if all the best right backs in the world were totally fully fit, who do I think is the best? I've said for the last 5 years, I think it's Reece James. Yeah. He is the one guy who can do everything to a really, really high level, I think. But it's injuries and stuff make it really hard. Like Livramento has kind of announced really himself this season, but also unreliable physically.
Yeah.
So I probably go Timber. I'd love to give it to one of the Bayern guys or to Hakimi, but I do think domestic performance is a little bit hard to shake there. And obviously teams like Inter play with wing backs. So I'm not wedded to the opinion, to be honest.
I think it is tough. I'd probably also like all 3 of those defenders that we put up there are totally different kind of profiles.
Yeah.
Like Hakimi is more of your traditional
wing back in ways.
Where he gets up and down. Timber is the best defensive fullback out of the lot of them, and Reece James is the best all round. Does that versatility make you a better player than someone who's a specialist in their position? Not necessarily, but I also think Reece James has all of the fundamentals to be a specialist right back anyway. It's not like you're a jack of all trades, master of none. Like he's a very good right back.
Jack of all trades, master of all.
Yeah, pretty much. That is Reece James. Like it just is. So I would put forward Reece James, but again the sort of fitness tax.
Yeah. But they've all kind of got it. They've all got
a bit of a thing around their neck, I guess, of like something that holds them back. But then again, Timber is, like you said, very good in terms of attacking output. But is he as easy on the eye as someone like a James or Hakimi? We love to see, like when you was watching PSG break out from the back against Liverpool in the Parc des Princes last week, and something we'll come on and talk about left back, which I think is probably a little bit more cut and dry. Yeah. But like the way that both of those fullbacks are just the way they spring forward, that is, and you talk about how the Premier League has become very sludgy and just like these Champions League games have become a bit of an antidote to that.
Let's cheer Barcelona, by the way, yesterday was, I don't know if you watched it, Pat, was genuinely one of the best games I've watched in years. Yeah. It was so much fun.
And I think those PSG like fullbacks, when you watch that team, like there's so much to admire about PSG generally, but like it does take you back a little bit to the Premier League sort of 10 years ago when you kind of did have those fullbacks flying up the pitch. And I think it's hard. I would probably still, the one I like the most is probably still Reece James.
Yeah.
But my top 2 would be Reece James and Hakimi, but I'd go with James for now.
Okay, I'm going to go James. That's my Chelsea one in there. Yeah. Lexi, what do you think? What do you think? You can go to Jurrien Timber.
Does it hurt you at all that Chelsea's defence is not good? And that he's played central midfield as well?
Oh, yeah. I think but then I think, coincidentally, his injury came from him playing right back and overlapping. Like, that's the thing now that Reece, the way he was so fit
for to that, though. That could have happened.
I think
I don't get your point.
Sorry, my point is I would love Reece James to be the right back for Chelsea
Sure.
and make the runs that he used to, where it would be overlapping runs, constantly up and down that
But you
wing.
think he might not physically?
But I think physically that is I don't think it's a coincidence that he played midfield for half the season, was absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Went to right back for a few games and got injured.
Did when Maresca first
Maresca said
this,
the whole time,
it was,
I'm trying to save him.
Yeah, it was in a Conference League game or something, wasn't it? Was it Copenhagen?
They were asking, can Reece James play two games a week? And he was like, I would love to. I'm not playing him because I don't want to.
But did he say specifically that? I can't remember
He said
at the time whether
he
it was
did
a
mention that
tactical thing or whether it
midfield
was
is a safer position for him physically.
Okay.
Because it's so much more explosive down the right wing and how we want to use our fullbacks. And in midfield, he's able to be a little bit less explosive. So, it's an issue. I think he's not a million miles away from coming back, and we need him for this run in for sure.
And for the World Cup, because if
he's never really been an England player. He's never had a chance for
the
England.
England right back situation is very, very confusing because that game between Real Madrid and Bayern last week for Trent, who we would have probably thought if we were sitting here last year going, who are the best players in every position in the world, and fast forward 12 months and Trent Alexander-Arnold is playing for Real Madrid, you'd imagine that we'd probably all be sitting here having Trent in our conversations, but he's just not, is he? But that game last week, I think obviously Tuchel was there at the Bernabeu watching it, and it's like that has done everything to rubber stamp kind of Tuchel's own thoughts on him as to why he doesn't want them in the England squad. But that level of attacking quality is something that I don't think any other fullback in the world has. Like Reece James is very good going forward, but I don't think he can put in the eye of the needle pass that maybe Trent can on a more consistent basis, or that level of crossing. Trent also created a lot of other chances in that game as well. I think he, going into that Bayern game, he'd got 3 assists in a row for the first time this season for Real Madrid. I think it's a bit I think it'd be a bit of a shame to see Trent not go to the World Cup, if I'm being honest.
Would you take 3?
Well, I probably
James,
wouldn't take
Livramento and Trent.
I mean, if you can't rely on James fitness-wise, you're going to have to rely on that quality on the ball from a deeper area somewhere. And I think that you maybe have to sacrifice a little bit with Trent and say, look, yes, we know that he's probably going to get done in behind. It's never been one of his biggest strengths. But even to be able to bring him off the bench, if England are losing 1-0 in a World Cup quarter-final, of course, you've got a breadth of attacking options that you could bring on to change things. But Trent Alexander-Arnold as a substitute option when you're 1-0 down with 20 minutes to go, that is someone that you'd want to turn to.
And also, I think you want as diverse a squad as possible, right?
Exactly,
so you're this guy, there's no point taking a guy who's just an inferior version of the other guy you've got, unless, it's a very small drop-off.
Yeah.
You want to take people who you say, this guy has some magic, he has an ability no one else has. That is Trent. I mean,
100%.
The advantage with Reece James is at least you can argue, okay, if you want to take 3 right backs, with Reece James, you say if you need to go to a back 3 because you're chasing in game, Reece James right centre back.
Yeah.
If you need cover in midfield, Reece James covers midfield.
Yeah.
That's how you justify it, I think, and that's actually fine.
Yeah.
Like drop somebody out of the midfield who you maybe wouldn't have taken anyway, or drop an extra centre back and say Reece James is going to cover, and I think that's probably worth it to get Trent in the squad, because Trent is the he has magic in a way that I think basically nobody does in that squad. I mean, obviously Saka, Palmer, like these guys, but he can solve all your progression issues and give you chance creation in the final third. Almost nobody in world football can do that.
Set piece ability, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I mean that's a different video in itself, but we'll see. Okay, let's move on to the centre backs. I feel like this is fairly simple, but I do want to give a shout out to someone who I think gets a little bit of stick every time the Champions League is on, because he has Upamecano.
When the lights shine bright.
Even that game recently against Real Madrid, he's having a good game.
He's just got bozo energy.
That's the issue.
100%.
That's the issue.
It's like
really good this season.
You know the saying about whether I saw someone tweet this. What is the saying about when a tree falls and nobody hears it? Did it actually fall?
Yeah.
It's like that's the same as Upamecano. It's like you're only that you seeing him make that mistake when you've not watched any other game this season for Bayern Munich or like any of the other Champions League games. You see him make a mistake on the biggest stage and it validates all your opinions and you'll focus on that rather than the actual good game that he did have. He missed a chance in that game as well, which didn't help him. He should have scored from about 3 yards out, and then he headed it through to Vinny and slipped over. But he was good. He's been good for a while.
He really has.
The game that killed him, I think it was the City game, wasn't it? A few years ago in the Champions League. Yeah. People have just got... It was almost from... And he was really bad in that game. It wasn't just the mistakes. He had a nightmare. But since then, he's actually recovered really well. And it's just unfortunate that last week happened what happened. But, this is obviously going out on Friday, but tonight is the second leg. I think he'll probably be a lot more assured maybe at home tonight. Bayern have got the advantage. I think Bayern will go through fairly comfortably, to be honest, without many issues. So I really like Upamecano. It's just people have just, unfortunately, it's a bit like the Harry Kane thing, right, about big games. I think there's so many players in the Champions League over the course of the last week with these ties that have actually done quite well to either dispel the myths and narratives around them or sort of prove them right, but prove them right lazily, if you get what I mean. I think Upamecano is an example of that. Harry Kane is a good example of kind of going, well, no, actually, come on, let's just stop this now. Like, maybe for England, yes, you want him to do more, but he's just scored a goal away in the Bernabeu, despite actually not playing that well in that game, to be honest, because he didn't look fit, but he still turns up with a moment, which is what people have accused him of not doing. People said Elise doesn't play well for Bayern in big games. It's was the best player in all of the Champions League last week in the first legs of the quarterfinals. So,
but he's a contender for best player in the world.
It's insane.
Elise will be.
People say about Yamal as well. Like, I mean, this is getting ahead of myself in terms of players further down the pitch, but people say it about Yamal, and it's like, what are you watching?
Yesterday, I'm pretty sure there was a moment you drove past 8 players. And I was just thinking, this kid is 18 years old, and it's just a freak. Yeah, like an absolute freak.
But I think Meccano's quite good.
He's like the third most important centre back though at Bayern. I do think that Tar and Kim are the guys who really define that back line. Yeah. But I agree that I think a lot of Upamecano's worst moments in his career have been coaching dependent. Like the Nagelsmann era of Bayern was very unkind to Upamecano. Like, he's not a clown, it's just that every now and then he looks like a clown. And I guess you could point out that with PSG and with Bayern, the big moments in the Champions League are such a large part of their season success that maybe we should actually count them, double. But and also, most of the time, I just think he just strolls through Bundesliga games. I don't take it that seriously.
Is the answer though just Saliba and Gabriel?
Saliba's the best centre back in the world. I think this season we've seen the end of any
the last couple of games. There's been a few moments with him. I think
there are always moments with that.
Really? I would agree. I would agree though.
With Gabriel, to be honest,
there are way more moments with Gabriel.
Sorry, I thought you said Gabriel.
No,
Saliba.
Sorry,
apologies.
So for example, I think I saw some criticism for Saliba after the Bournemouth game, which I thought was kind of weird because I thought Bournemouth's whole plan in that game was we don't want Saliba on the ball, we want to get Gabriel. And in the first half, I know the narrative has now been Arsenal couldn't play out, but in the first half, Arsenal played out quite easily by going to the right when Bournemouth were trying to funnel them left. They were still able to get it to Saliba and White and play out. In the second half, Bournemouth do more successfully get it to Gabriel, and that's actually how the second Bournemouth goal happens. And Gabriel has been an excellent defender this season, and his goal numbers are phenomenal. He is a bit of a problem on the ball, or has been. I think he's the nerviest member of that back four, I think, on the ball down the stretch this season, and it has been a bit of a problem. To me, Saliba, I don't know who the centre-back is in the world who you can argue is better than Saliba this season. Hard, I think there are guys you can argue are up there, but even people like Bastoni, I think, is more error-prone and plays in a back three. Van Dijk, I think, has dropped off a lot.
I think Pacho's up there.
But even he's had issues. He's had issues at PSG as well this season.
Can I just get this clear? Are we doing a team for centre backs? Are we just picking one centre back?
Two.
Okay, so a right side centre back, right? Yeah. So I didn't know if we were picking the best defensive centre back in the world, which I think it is probably still Saliba. I think that it's very weird with Saliba because I think on the outside looking in, I think the narrative has shifted that Gabriel has become the A side of that Arsenal defence over the last couple of years. When actually, like you said, if you listen to Arsenal fans who watch Arsenal every single week and are probably paying more attention, but maybe we're just seeing Gabriel, he's fucking done it again from another set piece, or he's had a big moment, a big block in the game. Whereas actually, throughout the course of 90 minutes, Saliba, I don't think it's that much of a contest. I actually think this is...
No, I don't think it's a contest.
This might be stupid to say, because of how good he still is. But I think Gabriel has become a teeny bit overrated because of all of the moments and all those kind of things. Actually, as a bread and butter defender and on the ball, I don't think he's quite as good as people have made out, but you can't take anything away from him for what he's contributed to that Arsenal team, if that makes sense. And I think Saliba has become underrated because of all of the... I should make this clear. Gabriel, I don't think is actually overrated, but I think
Suggesting he's the better one in the partnership seems to have gone too far.
And I think that's what's made you're almost overrating him by proxy, and Saliba's becoming underrated. But I'm not saying that Gabriel isn't as good as people think he is. It's just that I don't think he's as good as Saliba.
Yeah. I mean, do any of us not put Saliba in here?
No. I think they both just go in, to be honest.
See, I can argue against Gabriel.
Who would you?
I do think Gabriel deserves a shout.
Yeah.
But I do think if somebody said they wanted to put Bastoni in or something, I'd be totally open to that. I mean, a guy I would like to talk about a little bit is Jacobo Ramon, at Como, because if you look at the best, partially with the defence here, even if Arsenal end up not winning the league this season, not winning the Champions League, they will still have had the best defence in Europe.
Yeah.
So that's, I guess, how you can argue for putting their defenders in. But Como have been having a phenomenal season. Since Christmas, they have been stomping teams, and they've got a 21-year-old, Real Madrid Academy graduate in the back line who has been phenomenal for them. Like, it's his first season as a starter. He started the season at 20 years old. They have the best defense in Serie A. In fact, the only
Real Madrid looking at bringing him back as well now?
I don't know. But the only two teams in Europe that have conceded fewer goals than them in the league are PSG, don't count, and Arsenal. And it's not just defensively. If you look at his numbers, like, he's a huge threat at set pieces. He's one of their chief progressive passers. He's amazing in the air. He does win the ball back a lot. He is truly one of the key players in every single phase of play for them. And again, he is 21 years old. He looks like a superstar. And also, Como are maybe the hardest pressing side in Europe right now. To be a 21-year-old having to defend in a team that is going to push up like that is no small task. And I just thought it'd be fun to give somebody like him a shout, because look, I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? When guys are at the top level, we maybe underrate them a bit. And when they're a bit lower down, we maybe overrate them a bit.
Yeah. Everyone's guilty of that. It's just football discourse, isn't it?
It's like the way we talk about players who are like, average Premier League players. We say that guy's crap or something. It's like, he's an average Premier League player. It's like he's like the top 1% of the top 1%. But
if I'm talking about Conor Gallagher, I actually just would back that he's crap.
but I don't know. I just think that I think that when Arsenal have had nervy moments since Christmas, I do think Gabriel's been a big factor in it. I do think that Wolves one, I thought against Bournemouth at the weekend, he was a weak defensively. I think he's always great. Like, the way he puts his body on the line, he's incredible block, incredible in the air. Like, he's amazing at that stuff. On the ball, there are weaknesses there. He's still a very good player, but I do think, I would be considering, can you use Calafiori in games where you need more passing out?
I think
fair enough.
One player that I think someone brought this up yesterday. I can't remember who said it, but about can you be world class until you go and play for a Champions League team? I'm going to put that on the floor.
Yeah, fair enough. Can you be world class until you
like playing the Champions League or whatever?
Interesting.
I think someone who's not too far away from not the best centre back in the world conversations or in a back line, but one of the best centre backs in the Premier League, who's I think gone up another level since he's made the move, is Mark Gahey. I think Mark Gahey is still so underrated because he obviously spent a long time at Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace still achieved a lot last season. They might go on to achieve a lot this season, which, despite not being a part of it, he's still got his fingerprints kind of all over it for how he's helped get them there. He's a threat in both boxes. He's very composed on the ball, right and left foot. I don't think he's as good a defender as Saliba or Gabriel at this moment. But I think now he's gone to City. He's made that step up. He's been pretty faultless since he's been there so far. Has really helped galvanise this kind of Man City team. I'm not saying that City haven't made errors defensively or he's not contributed at all to it, but the way that Pep kind of plays obviously kind of opens them up, doesn't it?
Well, him and Kuzanov have made a really nice partnership last few games.
They have. I just think Mark Gahey, he's not in this conversation yet, but I think maybe a couple more years.
World Cup.
If he has a big World Cup, if he has another big season for Man City next year, I just think he'll always be underrated because he's just a very calming presence and you don't notice him a lot of the time. But maybe that's a good thing with centre back.
Yeah, true. Left back, Nuno Mendes. There was a world.
I don't think there's an outstanding candidate, but I do think I would give it to him.
I think there was a world last season. Cucurella could have been on it. I think this season he's actually dropped off quite a bit.
Yeah.
Lewis Hall's been really impressive in the Premier League. But
Nico O'Reilly's
had a really nice breakout year.
I think Nico O'Reilly's the best in the Premier League, hands down, at the moment.
I think at the moment there's a fair shout to it. I think Lewis Hall could be up there genuinely.
I think O'Reilly's better than Hall. I don't know what it is. I think they're quite different, but I think
as a left back though, I mean,
O'Reilly's basically playing midfield.
Again, it's difficult.
Is, but that's that. I mean, it's testament to Pep how much he's trusted him. Really,
yeah.
This is the thing that you could say that about Cucurella. If you were going to say last season that Cucurella was one of the best left backs in the world up against Nuno Mendes, Cucurella is basically playing in midfield for under Maresca at Chelsea.
Yeah.
So it's. again, I think
it's difficult.
How much do you value their actual play in terms of their traditional position, or how much they're able to absorb instructions and have that tactical discipline and understand the role that their manager wants them to play, despite not maybe playing in the traditional role. And I think that's why O'Reilly, he's not an out-and-out left-back, but what he is doing as a left-back is helped made City go up another gear in this title race. Every week he's shipping him 2 goals in the Carabao Cup final, the goal that broke them open at the weekend, those late runs into the box, his box crashing ability, his ability to take the ball on the half turn in midfield from those inverted positions. Defensively, he's still pretty sound as well. But and it'd be interesting to see, kind of going back to the England conversation, if he does become the starting left back and how Tuchel wants to use him. Because I remember the early days of Tuchel last year, when Lewis Skelly started the first game for England. Lewis Skelly was basically playing as a midfielder from left back. Yeah. And I think, again, that's something that suits Lewis Skelly quite well. But can we get back to that and use O'Reilly there, especially if we've not got Reece James and you want to play a more out-and-out right back on the right-hand side if James is injured, for example? I think O'Reilly's top class, like absolutely top class. But I don't think it's conversation for the best.
There's a lot of attrition though this season where like often the players we're talking about, it's just like who's still fit.
Yeah. Especially at this point of the season.
So many guys have gone down, recently. Even last night, some serious injuries. The thing about Nuno Mendes is that like anything that is a weakness slowly gets ironed out. Yeah. And last year his throws were not great. This year
against the Liverpool, like
he's starting counterattacks.
It's ridiculous.
Which admittedly is a tactical thing, like they've worked out they can do that. But there's a guy called Billy Carpenter who writes on Arsenal and has written for Scouted, and he said, he was talking about Rice and said Rice in this category where you looked at his throws earlier in the season, they were absolutely god-awful. And then after a few weeks, suddenly he's getting them into the 6-yard box because he's one of those guys who's just going to going to work at it relentlessly.
Yeah. Have you guys yet to score? Have you guys scored from a throw-in yet?
No. But Nuno Mendes is exactly the same kind of guy. Like, he's just like, I'm going to work on that. I think last season, I thought Nuno Mendes was a bit overpraised. There was the run in the Champions League where people were like, wow, he locked up all these right wingers. And I actually thought he quite often did not lock up those right wingers. Like when you went back and watched the game. But I still thought he was really, really good. I just think it was like a claim that wasn't really borne out by the evidence. But he can do absolutely everything. Like, he is your Reece James on the left-hand side.
Was it this season? It feels like so long ago. Was it this season or last season Barcelona played PSG in the league phase of the Champions League? Was that this year?
That was this year.
Yeah, when PSG nicked it right at the end.
With kids, with like Sonny Mayula guys playing.
But Nuno Mendes in the first half, he was amazing in that first half. It was a brilliant battle between him and Yamal. But didn't Mendes assist the first goal where he literally just drove all the way through the middle of the pitch and slipped it into, it might have been Mayulu or one of the other youngsters. I can't remember. I remember the game, but I can't remember who scored. But he was amazing. But you are right in the sense that like people did go probably a bit over the top last year from him locking up everyone. He did get beat a fair few times, but also like he was still brilliant, and what he offers you from an attacking point of view. I think they had a league phase game against Bayer Leverkusen in the Champions League this season, where again from an attacking, they beat them. What was the score? I think it was like 6-1, 7-1 or something.
I don't remember, but
and he was just incredible. But he's only 23. He's only going to keep getting better and better.
He's a freak.
He sums up PSG's team to a T in terms of like they have just built a team full of technical and physical freaks. It's just like this is the Harlem Globetrotters of football, but like actually just will be so successful and could
and work so well together in every single way.
That have Enrique has made them sacrifice more for each other, and it's just a perfect. Like they are such an amazing.
It's mad to think you would never make
a big blow for them if he's injured, like properly injured.
Say again,
because he went off last night.
To half an hour, didn't he?
He went off last night, and so did Doué. Like a couple of guys went off with knocks, and if those end up being real injuries, like that's a serious loss for them, because like Luka Hernandez is nowhere near.
Not at all. Okay, let's move on then to the midfield. So we're going to do this a bit interestingly. You were looking at a 2-1, 7-2. 7-2. Yeah.
Can I just say as well, Federico Di Marco? Like, if we're going to make the argument for guys who've also played in midfield, like Federico Di Marco is a wing back.
Yeah.
And if we're like, well, you can play the role in loads of different ways. Like Federico Di Marco has 19 goals and assists in Serie A. He has 13 assists. Yeah. Admittedly, like set pieces and stuff, but his delivery is phenomenal. Like he's a really underrated.
But he's been
player,
great for years now as well. I mean, what is he now? Like 31?
No. Federico Di Marco is quite a bit younger than that, I thought.
Oh, wow. I think he's in his 30s.
But he's a really good player, and in my opinion, like does not get the credit he deserves.
No, very.
He's 28.
True.
Federico.
28.
Marco,
That's it. Especially obviously getting to the Champions League. That Champions League run they had last season. He was electric up until I guess the final, but that wasn't necessarily his fault. Okay, then let's move into the midfield. Then let's see how we work this out. I'm going to just mention a few players who I think are worthy of shouting out and could be in this midfield. Declan Rice, Vitinha, Kimmich, Szoboszlai, Pedri.
João Neves. I think João Neves has to be in there.
Who else would you jump into there as well?
Who else would I add?
Yeah, add into this.
No, I think that's a pretty good list.
Yeah,
like I mean, you could. Did you say Valverde?
Valverde. Okay, we kind of shouted about right, but I mean, again, he's someone that you kind of put into anywhere along that right wing, and in midfield.
To me, it's like
amazing.
Rice, Vitinha, and then do you want to find space for someone else? Like because I probably don't, just because I think the attacking line is so strong, but like. To me, Vitinha is the guy who everything runs through at PSG. Like,
do you think Pedri's injuries have then hurt him too much for this maybe conversation?
Yeah, I think so. Probably. I think so. I think that when Pedri's fully fit, I think he's the best midfielder in the world.
Yeah, agreed.
But I do think he's had quite a few injuries this season. You're looking at kind of like more like 1,600 minutes as opposed to basically ever present like Rice. And Vitinha, again, every single thing goes through him. Like all the other players are important. And when PSG don't have Neves, you notice. But if they didn't have Vitinha, the entire plan for the team changes in a way that it doesn't. It just gets worse without Ruiz, without...
The way he's just like the metronome of everything. It all kind of just ticks through him. He decides when to start the attack. He decides when to restart.
I think that's both of them as well, to be honest. I think
Declan Rice as well?
No, I was going to say Neves. I think if we're building a 4-3-3, as of right now, I would go Neves, Vitinha, Rice. If it's a 4-2-3-1... and we're looking to get a number 10 in here because we obviously...
Yeah, we've with the others.
You know, you've got to have a bit of fun, haven't you? I honestly think it's a toss of a coin between Neves and Vitinha. I think that there's a bit of a boring debate going around them at the moment where I think people are trying to decide who's the best. I think it's almost impossible to...
They complement each other so well as well.
Yeah, it's literally...
That's half what makes them so good.
That midfield balance at the moment of Zaire Emery, Vitinha and Neves, just like something that we haven't seen in a very, very long time, the way they complement each other. Neves, I think, is that kind of metronome, so good in deeper areas. They both contribute in the final third. Vitinha probably more so than Neves. They're both insane athletes as well, despite not looking like... You know, you look at Szoboszlai, you look at Valverde, for example, and think that they will cover ridiculous amounts of grounds. They will just run and run and run and run for you, and they look like an athlete. Like, not in a disrespectful way, but João Neves and Vitinha don't necessarily... João Neves
small
especially...
boys. They're just small boys.
Yeah, they don't necessarily...
He's like Conte. You know, like that's what he plays like. I mean, but
just
to me,
everywhere.
I think they thought he was going to be a 6, and actually he's far more like an 8.
Yeah.
And Vitinha is the 6, really.
Yeah.
Because that idea of the 6 as being like the most defensive, you know, like hard player, like no longer is that the case. It's kind of more like you get the Zubimendi or you get somebody like Vitinha, and then you pair them with somebody who does all the kind of like running. But I just look at the way I look at it is I'm like, Neves missed a lot of this season. Neves has 1,000 minutes in Ligue 1. Whereas Vitinha has like 2,000.
That's
so
true.
like Neves just like barely played in Ligue 1.
Yeah, I also think though that it's like that is a good point, but I also think we have to factor in a lot equally alongside that, like their ability to perform at the top level when they are like
called upon.
Despite not like Neves has just he might have missed a lot of football, but the fact that he has slotted straight back in and is just like no cobwebs to be kind of dusted off whatsoever. He's just there, and he's performing exactly at the level that we saw him in the Champions League last season. Like it's, you know, I personally think that it's a bit of a tiresome debate to suggest who's better out of the two that's kind of existing at the moment. But
flip a coin.
It's flip of a coin between one of them. If you're going to play a 4-3-3, I think both of them have to be in there right now.
We're not, and I'm going to put Vitinha in for minutes.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Because again, Neves has like 800 minutes in the Champions League, and Vitinha has played every minute, bar I think one.
So yeah, I think
for
this season then I think it's like Vitinha.
And let's give a little bit of praise to Declan Rice, because I do think actually he's getting a bit of criticism at the moment in the kind of.
I think he looks tired.
Yeah,
he does.
I
think
it's absolutely ridiculous. I think. I think this, and I hate Arsenal obviously, but I think this people have got this obsession because Arsenal. A lot of what Arteta does, and a lot of what we saw at the weekend with the TikTok edit on the big screen and training or whatever. There's a lot of Arsenal of what they do that feels a bit performative, right? Mm-hmm. And I think I can understand why people feel this about Declan Rice, but I remember when people were talking about him like doing performative scanning, and like you remember against Forest where Arsenal drew, I think it was 0-0, and like he was like, people even said that he was like trying to find the camera to look down and go, oh, for fuck's sake, like I can't, and like push his hair back or whatever. It's like people are insane, and I think this micro analysis of absolutely everything Declan Rice, it's a bit like Rosenior. I feel like Rice and Rosenior are almost like two peas in a pod in a way, of like how every single action gets micro-analysed. That with Rice, it then massively skews how people view him as a footballer. I think people have gone a bit too far on Rice to suggest that the level that he's operating at the moment for Arsenal is on the level of what we saw from like Gerrard, Lampard, Scholes, etc. But again, I don't think that most people that watch Rice, maybe aside from Arsenal fans, are actually putting in those conversations, just saying he's very, very good. Mm-hmm. But maybe because Arsenal fans have at certain points suggested that, people will then suggest that, like, that it becomes two ends of the spectrum where like people then go, oh, he's massively overrated. They can't find the balance in the middle. Rice is so good, and most of the issues that Arsenal have in midfield at the moment are nothing really to do with him.
Yeah,
even in terms of the intangibles, like people will call it performative or whatever, but again, this is just nonsense. But he is the one that always looks like he's trying more than anybody to drag Arsenal back into a game, or trying more than anybody to drag them over the line. And I think people, because they've got this idea of him as a person, and the fact that they don't really like him and think he's a bit cringe and like all deckers and all this, they will hold that against him, and I just don't think that's really fair. As much as I dislike Arsenal tremendously.
I think if you think about how maybe in the last few games Arsenal's midfield has struggled, and like to be frank, I think the 10 position for Arsenal all season has been a bit of an issue between them not quite finding who is the suitable
Saturday there was
player,
absolutely no link between
the creativity.
midfield and defence.
He is asked to do a lot for that Arsenal team, and look, there are definitely flaws to his game. There are definitely parts to his.
There aren't that many,
but I think sometimes
he's not a creative passer.
Exactly.
Like that's kind of the flaw.
And that's what everybody keeps criticizing.
And you're like, that's
him
pretty
for.
good.
And it's like, oh my God, but he's doing everything else. He's unbelievable at set piece. His defensive contribution is insane. His ball running, his tracking, like his
he might not be the most creative possible. He doesn't give the ball.
He
used to be crap in the air as well, and like now he's really strong.
People really pushing down on that creative element to his game. It's like, okay, if he had the element of being creative as well, the guy would literally be the perfect midfielder.
But that's also why Arsenal bought Zubimendi, to unlock the best of Rice's attributes. Like all world-class players have a flaw at some point in their game, and I think Rice is. I would say he is world-class. I think he probably is, and
I do think he gets into the team. I do. Like, I think Joshua Kimmich at the moment has been unbelievable.
Kimmich was insane against Real Madrid. Like, absolutely insane. Like, if you've got a low block, Kimmich is the perfect just neutralisation to be able to find any sort of space or from any sort of angle. A bit like Trent, actually, in a way. Like, but Kimmich is. I just think people have almost forgotten about Kimmich because Bayern have got Pavlovic now, and they've kind of
Elise,
they've reinvented Kane, a lot of that team.
Well.
Kimmich has been the main. It's a bit like Neuer. I think obviously people haven't forgotten about Manuel Neuer, but you know, he was one of Bayern's biggest and best players for a long time, even when they had a lot of superstars. Whereas now, like Elise, Kane, Diaz, and those kind of guys have just sort of taken them to another level, and the focus is all about their attack now. So Neuer, people were like, oh yeah, Manuel Neuer, when he made all those saves against Real Madrid last week. And I think it's almost a little bit like Joshua Kimmich as well, because Pavlovic is almost that shiny new toy midfield who is very good. But like people have gone, oh yeah, Joshua Kimmich is still like class.
Elite, absolutely elite.
Yeah.
And again, I wouldn't, if someone wanted to swap him for Rice, I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate it if Kimmich came in for Rice.
Yeah,
but
I think I just look at the quality of opposition in the Bundesliga, and even that Real Madrid game. I think you could not set a top team up more to benefit the way Kimmich wants to play than the way Real Madrid played in the first half. Of that game. Like Real Madrid are poorly organised. They are just badly coached. They're a nightmare.
They are the worst best team in the world.
Yeah, and they're not very good. Like they're just. I just look at Kimmich and I think, like you're great. You've always been great. I kind of feel like what'll be interesting is if they play against a team that won't let him play his game. So if they come up against PSG next, that'll be really interesting. And then after that, they'll come up against presumably Atletico Madrid or Arsenal. That'll be interesting as well to see if those teams can sit somebody on him, because that is the thing that is going at this stage of his career, right? His physicality. But yeah, he's great. I mean, I think this has been a really good season for central midfielders. Actually, I think lots of central midfielders have been like earlier on in the season, we'd have been talking about Caicedo. Yeah. Enzo Fernandez, I mean, he played a lot of the season kind of as a 10, but he's had a really good under the radar season.
Yes.
Dominic Szoboszlai while Liverpool have been crap, Dominic Szoboszlai has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
At
really,
every position
really
he's
good.
played as well.
There are so many guys who I think deserve a right bit of credit here.
Yep.
100%.
No, absolutely. Okay, then. Well, let's get to our front four. We need a striker, a right winger, a left winger, and I guess an attacking midfielder, a 10, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Kane up top.
Yeah.
Without
Done.
a doubt. Without a doubt.
Done.
But that means no Haaland,
But Harry,
No, I agree. I agree.
But he has just been.
It's almost like I've been
ridiculous.
saying this for years.
Eh,
It's almost like
fair,
I've
fair.
been banging this drum.
What
for a
are we
long, long
doing?
No, he was crap.
What are we doing with Yamal and Elise?
Play Elise in the 10, play
I'm
Yamal.
doing that. Cheating is the answer to what
Sorry,
we're
Bruno
doing.
Fernandes. Sorry, Ryan Shirky. You have to get Elise and Yamal in this team.
Yeah.
'Cause I think Elise, if he played in the 10 every week for Bayern, he'd probably be the best 10 in the world
Are
anyway.
we cheating?
I
Are
don't
we
care.
really cheating?
Either of them, could do it.
Okay, fine. We'll do
They're
that
not,
for our team.
neither of them are like traditional right wingers anyway, are they?
We'll do it for our team.
And Elise-
I'll have them both. But if I had to push you, Pat, and it was like your right winger, and you could only pick Yamal or Elise, what would you do?
I'd probably go Elise. I do just think Elise. I think Elise is playing at a higher tactical level, I want to say. I mean, Yamal. This is a bit of a head versus heart thing, though, because I must say I think I'd probably enjoy Yamal more.
Yeah.
Yamal is more of a classic winger, and he plays with like the insane bravery of a teenager, which is very enjoyable. But Olise basically does fill that attacking midfield hole. As we say, like with Musiala out, like who is the creative hub of that team?
exactly.
Well, it's Kane and it's Olise. But I don't know. Like he's also got more goals and assists. Like he's just been phenomenal this season. Like I think. But this is a fine margin. I don't know how you pick between. It's basically it's like taste, isn't it? It's like which of these two things that like do you like a burger more or a pizza? It's just like they're both good. Like it's
Don't
it's
compare,
down
just enjoy.
It's down to what you're in the mood for. And I do think that like at this level, saying Yamal is better than Elise or Elise is better than Yamal, I think is to kind of miss the point. It's what's more your type?
Well, especially when we've been starved of like so much good football this season, watching the Premier League week in, week out. We can't be sitting here having arguments as to like
which one's the best.
Literally, you are being treated every single week in the Champions League or in La Liga or the Bundesliga. I think that
part of me would say I think Elise is a bit more efficient, if that makes sense.
Yeah, he is.
he's a better finisher.
And like
I
the
think-
clinical
he doesn't
and
attempt,
decision
like,
making
9
and like that.
dribbles a
Also,
game.
but
He
again,
is-
that he's slightly older.
3 or 4 years older.
Yeah, like I could
Yamal.
easily see Yamal in 4 years being
Once Yamal becomes a more consistent finisher, I think we're going to like his numbers.
and he's already
will-
getting certain finishes on lock where he's able
Well,
to
he's the
cut in
best.
onto his
He's the
left
best
foot.
Trevella passer maybe we've ever seen.
Well, and
charisma.
And there are games earlier in the season where he wasn't able to get into the final third, and so he was playing those killer passes from the halfway line. I mean, also last year, like Yamal was actually like if you looked at his goal and assist numbers, you looked at his expected goal and assist numbers, like they weren't that amazing. And then this year, it's like it connected, and he's got I think 15 goals and 11 assists in La Liga.
He's had a few injuries this year as well, isn't
It's
he?
insane.
And there was Barcelona's team last year. That whole him and Rafinha had a bit of like a who was the best player out of them both that season. This year, it's just been like it's Lamine Yamal.
Yeah,
It's
Well,
always
it's
Lamine
interesting
Yamal.
with both teams because they're largely set up and balanced in a similar way in terms of like the roles of that front four. Like Elise and Yamal are the primary creators. Gnabry as the 10 behind Kane.
Fermin Lopez for
it is very much like
for
Fermin
Barca,
Lopez, like a box
it's
crashing kind of just like second striker.
He's been great.
really good
Rashford and Diaz are very similar in terms of like can beat you one-on-one, can run in behind, can finish. Like
I've really liked
comfortable-
Rashford's loan to Barcelona. I
Yeah,
think
comfortable in wide areas, but also getting more centrally. And then Kane and Lewandowski slightly different, but like Kane drops in to allow those runners in behind him, and Lewandowski
Lewandowski's
does
starting to
similar.
show
But
his age a little bit.
yeah, this is why. I mean, you said last week about Kane at Barcelona, didn't you? That would be incredibly
I thought
exciting.
that could be something that happens.
But I think if you're building the best team in the world, they both have got to be in here.
Yeah.
But if you were to push me, I'd probably still just say Yamal.
Okay,
But
so
I think
we'll
it's-
put Yamal on the right, Elise on the
cares,
10.
right.
If we had to pick another 10 that wasn't Elise, Bruno Fernandes? Well, look, he's had a pretty good year, all things considered, but
Yeah.
only maybe the last post-Amarin.
Bruno
Not many
Fernandes or
people-
Ryan Shirky.
Not many people are playing with a conventional attacking midfielder. Like it's kind of thin pickings.
Yeah.
Like, and people like Palmer a bit out of form. Odegaard injured this past season.
4-4-2.
Yeah.
Okay, then. And then we're going to go over to the left wing position.
Who would you actually say? Would you say Bruno Fernandes?
For the, I think maybe there's a bit more recency bias into it over the last few months, but I think he has just been exceptional for Man United.
Yeah, he's been amazing.
So I think so. But again, I think pre-Amorim, when he was playing him as a 6 and stuff, it was just kind of ruining him a bit.
Yeah,
but he was also at times pretty good.
I just love
so I'd say give it Bruno. I think Cherky's maybe I saw somebody mention
the best number 10 in the world to watch.
It's like Pep Guardiola has got this like grandson who every time he's like, do what I say, and then Cherky goes out there and does something fucking ridiculous, does the kick-ups, and then just watches him and goes, oh,
fine. Just give him a little
But Shep, I don't think that's true at all, man. No, I think that like this is a situation where Pep at the beginning of the season was like, "You're a fucking liability. Like you need to do what you're told out of possession." And Cherky was like, "No, thank you." And Pep benched him a lot. And now you look at him out of possession, I think he's way better.
Yeah. Better, but not great still, I don't think.
Yeah, but he's never going to be amazing.
It's not his job, is it?
He's good enough for City to be incredible.
It was the first time,
and play.
It was the first time I saw him live on Saturday when I went to Chelsea City. He is always blowing. Oh my God. Yeah. He is genuinely, you just see him constantly like this. Like catching his breath.
But he's quite a thick boy. He's like a little, he's got a very like, like I feel like Lyon and Marseille used to produce a load of these guys who are all like,
he's a bit like
Algerians.
Payet as well had a bit of it.
They're like a load of Algerian guys who are just like, what do you mean cardio? Like that's all. I'm here for a good time. I'm not here for 90 minutes.
Every time he's on the ball, he is genuinely just like, he's got like a smile on his face, excited about what thing can I do that is
he's like a street footballer.
He is such a street footballer.
That assist for Gay, he was a joke. To do that, to be that, is it ambidextrous or ambipedal where you're both footed? Ambipedal, yeah. That to do that, shift so quickly and find an eye of the needle pass with the outside of your left foot in that situation. The angles don't make sense for that to be able to happen. That doesn't work, and he does it. He just he's just doing what he wants. This is the thing with Yamal, Elise, and Cherky at the moment. I don't think Cherky is as good as those two, but all three of those players are doing exactly what they want on a football pitch. And yeah, I think there is an element with Pep a little bit where he's like, come on, just like I need you to give me a little bit more discipline or whatever.
The goal comes from him doing that, though.
Part of me thinks with Pep is so clever with the media and like when cameras are on him and stuff like that. I wouldn't be surprised if Pep, like when he was doing the kick-ups against Arsenal. Where I think Pep secretly is loving that. And he's just stood
loving
there
it as long as it works, I think. If there's an element where suddenly
City were 2-0 up in that game.
Yeah.
2-0 up with 20 minutes to go.
If things weren't, if he was doing that, and I wonder maybe Cherky knows that now, that like, when they are winning or when they're in a position of power, or when they are in a game where they are in complete control, he knows maybe now that's when I've got the freedom to do it, and not when it's 0-0 in a tough game and certain things are happening. I don't know. Maybe, as you said, Pat, maybe over time he's built this trust with Pep as well, and that's something. And
I think he clearly has. Like I don't think he'd have gone the distance. Like he wouldn't have played. He'd have come on in the second half of that Chelsea game. If he hadn't improved the out of possession stuff earlier in the season, like he wouldn't. I mean, look, if we're talking about attacking midfielders, I think we also have to mention Nico Paz.
Yeah.
He plays off the right, but he is an attacking midfielder, really. Yeah. And he has had an amazing season. And I think, I'm
worried for Como this summer.
Como is still a bit of, because Paz will go back to Real Madrid for no money. But I mean, I don't know about Fabregas. They might be able to keep up. It depends if City change manager, which I think looks like they might do. Then people will come for Fabregas. But like, they have been really, really impressive this season. And they're really smartly run club. Like they've got really smart people behind the scenes, but
they're a bit like the Italian Brentford, but play better football
and more money.
A lot more money and a lot nicer than
than West London. Okay, then our final position, left winger. Kvaratskhelia, I think was worth bringing up.
100%.
Diaz for Bayern Munich. Mbappe at Real Madrid. If you want to be a bit cheeky,
you have to go Mbappe. I don't think it is cheeky.
You don't think?
No.
He's the. I mean,
he still does all his best work
from
coming in off
the
of
best version of Mbappe is left wing Mbappe.
He is just.
That's one of the problems with Real Madrid, that Mbappe is spending too much time on the left wing. It's been the problem since he signed. Like, but at the same time, the goal numbers this season are bananas. Like, I mean, he cannot stop scoring. Like, he's just. He is amazing, and like he's not a conventional centre forward by any means. Like, I think that it's perfectly legit to put him in at left wing.
Yeah, I'm more scared of Mbappe out on the left than up front.
And he was it?
Where he can get up to speed.
I'm scared of both, but like.
But also, I guess as well when he's on that left, he's able to kind of he's up against kind of just one defender in that point when it's normally just the fullback that he's taking on. I do think sometimes when he's up against both centre backs, you do see him struggle in that sense.
I would just like
because naturally he's always been that left winger. When he came through Monaco, he was a left winger. He's always had the.
Well, his best finishes come from those kind of positions where he has got it on lock, that ability to shift. You know what like Engamoa did against Fulham on Saturday, where he can just dart so quickly, but Mbappe would just then wrap it back across the near post, wouldn't he? Like
I always think about who was the goal he scored against in the Champions League, where he does the fake shot and takes it round the keeper and sold it. Was it Real Madrid against Thibaut Courtois?
In the Bernabeu,
That's one of the most like.
It was offside though; it didn't count.
It was offside.
Oh no, there was the one where the one where he got slipped through and he did the step over around Courtois where he dummied it. That was, I'm pretty sure that was offside, but it was incredible.
My point being was that that was the most Mbappe finish normally for me in my head when I think of him.
That game,
coming
he
through
was
that left wing,
and
it's the sheer pace and it's the ability to fool a goalkeeper and just kind of have an easy tackle.
It's the Henry finish. Though.
Yes, yeah.
That game was. That was when Poch was in charge, wasn't it? And they had Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe. And I remember Mbappe was unbelievable. But that was one of the games where I think a lot of people first started to look at that team and almost the start of what people started to say, this, like what the conversation has now become around PSG, around Enrique and what he's done. It was like PSG, despite having these players, are never going to win a Champions League if they just allow Messi, Neymar and Mbappe to just do what they want. That game was, because Mbappe individually was brilliant, but they let themselves down because they just let Real Madrid back into the game because those players weren't working hard enough. And unless I'm remembering this game wrong, it was the Real Madrid PSG game in 2022, I think, in the round of 16 or something.
I mean, the testimony.
It was Poch's PSG, and they were just Mbappe was ridiculous, but they went out, and it was that.
There's always been a few rumours now at the moment that Vinny Jr. might be off in the summer, possibly.
But
then it seemed like the relationship has kind of mended a bit.
Yeah. I thought Vinny was actually really good against Bayern. I thought like Mbappe and Vinny like did their bit almost, so they just annoy I guess stop them, but it's the problem is with Real Madrid is that they are just, again, like what we just said about PSG, Mbappe, Neymar and Messi, when you just let Mbappe and Vinny stay up and just, it's a massive risk reward thing, because if you can get those guys isolated 1v1, you're always going to create great goal scoring opportunities, but they get overrun all the time because of that.
And to be fair, like they got back into the game in the second half, but the game should have been out of sight, and the game is largely out of sight because Vinny and Mbappe don't track back, which means that Bayern can push their fullbacks up, and that's what enables them to get Elise isolated against Carreras again and again and again in that game. And also what makes you see, so then you're having to see centre backs push out, like you see Rudiger defending on the wing, for example. Like you don't want to be in that situation, but that's entirely because Bayern have pushed their fullbacks inside and high, and then they can do it because they know that Madrid's forwards aren't going to come back. So it's like, I don't know. Like I think that's something they should have done last year. I don't know if they'll do it now. It feels like they'll just probably roll with it for another year. And they always assume a coach is the problem. That some coach will be able to come in and give them, will do mostly vibes, but just enough tactics. They obviously decided Alonso too much tactic. So I don't know, man. Like I think we also have to mention Doku.
Yeah.
Like, does he have the end product for any of these guys? No. I do think that City without Doku just don't look that dangerous to me.
Yeah, agreed.
Like Doku is a bit of a progression cheat code. He can get into the box whenever he wants, basically. He doesn't do that much when he gets there necessarily, but the way that teams have to adjust is why you end up seeing people like Nico O'Reilly get goals.
I feel like you've seen him improve as well this year a lot.
Yeah,
I think he's been fantastic this season.
He has been very, very good this season.
I think that Liverpool game earlier on in the season was kind of his almost like big, not breakout, but like to kind of dispelled the myths around end product a little bit. No, I'm not saying that they still do exist, but
I agree.
The fact in a massive game on Super Sunday against the champions, like that goal that he scored, he cut inside and just wrapped it in the top corner. He was probably, Cherki was the best player to watch on the pitch, I think, on Sunday, but Doku was City's most threatening player. I thought Semenyo, it's interesting with Doku and Semenyo because I think Semenyo is more refined.
Oh, he's so much more clinical.
He's more clinical, but I still think he's nowhere near as threatening 1v1 as Doku.
Oh, no, not at all. But I think in ways how they're playing...
If you could combine those two players, you'd have probably the...
Yeah. But I think one of the nice things they do... I think one of the nice things about City's attack is with Haaland and Semenyo, you've got two players who can be so clinical. And then by having Doku on the left, it's someone that can almost create the opportunity for them to be clinical.
But to be fair, I thought Semenyo was actually really wasteful against Chelsea, whereas Doku was a little bit more
some of the most clinical players in the world are wasteful.
Oh, like, of course. Haaland's not scored for in the league for what?
A couple of games now, yeah. I don't know how...
Which feels like a drought.
Exactly.
But it feels like he's not getting maybe as many chances or not being as clinical with his chances. You go through patches like that. But I think Doku and Semenyo, they're
also slightly
biggest
different players,
strengths are the other's weaknesses, but they complement each other really well.
They're different. They're different builds though, and
Semenyo relies a lot more on his physicality.
But Semenyo doesn't get the space to score, like you're saying. Semenyo doesn't get the space to score goals if you don't have Doku attracting a bunch of people.
Exactly.
Same goes for Haaland and Nico O'Reilly, right? Like Nico O'Reilly doesn't get a free header against Chelsea in the box if the defenders aren't terrified of what's going on with Haaland.
Exactly.
And Haaland's got, I think, 7 assists this season as well, because like the way he's able to attract people and then release. We've even seen it in the past a little bit with Marmoush, not as much as we'd liked. So to me, like Doku creates all the space for these guys who, I don't think Semenyo is a very good dribbler.
He's not.
But he is able, when he gets half a chance, because he's very two-footed, to get a decent shot away. Yeah. And who is creating that space? It is the gravity of Jeremy Doku.
Agreed. He was also so much bigger than I imagined in person as well. He is broad, tall as well. Yes,
Semenyo's like a gazelle. Yeah, he's like the way he runs. So athletic. He's incredible.
Well then, guys, that is the best player in every position for the 2025-2026 season. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. Patron Charlton, the lovely people at home want to check you out. Where can they go?
You can find me at the Transfer Flow. Actually, we've got the Transfer Flow conference coming up next month. That's going to be in central London, in Russell Square. Ted and I are going to be, Ted Knudsen, are going to be doing rebuilds of Arsenal and Man United. And Ted's also going to talk us through how you would recruit an elite player for an elite club. So say Arsenal need a left winger, it will be how do we identify what we need and how do you go through stat scouting, video scouting to end up with the right player. So I think that's a really good opportunity to see what player recruitment is like behind the scenes. Tickets can be found online. I'll put the link.
Yeah, we'll put the link in the description. That's fantastic. Ben, yourself?
Go and subscribe to Touching Grass. Not quite sophisticated content, I would say. We've got a Soccer Saturday challenge coming out on Friday. By the time you watch this video, actually, probably. The first video was out last week. Yep. We recreated some of the best goals of the Premier League season. Interesting seeing a few others kick a ball in that video as well. That was good fun. And yeah, really good support on that so far, so massively appreciated. And then just YouTube and TikTok for myself.
Amazing.
Subscribe to this.
Indeed, subscribe to Nothing But Football.
And also go and watch Formations, Henry's Formations, yeah.
I enjoyed that. Well, you're not giving him promo. He's not on the video. He's not getting promo.
Yeah.
No free promo.
I would say unsubscribe.
Henry, if you're watching.
Keep your eyes peeled for...
They've got to 50k. Now
unsubscribe.
We need to do a mass unfollowing.
Dislike and unsubscribe.
Keep your eye peeled on Monday. Big video as well on the main channel. Lex says bye. She's sleeping, so I don't want to pick her up.